Good morning, everybody. My name is Zaria Davis. I am a local member of the All of Us or None chapter here. Also joining me from our chapters, Chastity Bowman and Mike Mitchell. We probably will have some others joining us shortly. We are a part of a national organization led by formerly incarcerated individuals, as well as currently incarcerated individuals and their families. We really fight against discrimination that people face because of their arrest and conviction history. And so to strengthen the voices of people most affected by mass incarceration. And so this is a grassroots organization, and our goal is to build basically a powerful political movement through full restoration of our rights as human beings. A lot of times people use the term returning citizens, and I don't use that term because I don't have all my rights restored at this point. So I just use formerly incarcerated. And today, Mike and I are wearing our little shirts that were actually produced by a young man out of Maryland who I do some work with. So just want to welcome everybody. We're going to start the day with Mindy, who is going to be presenting on voter education piece. And then we're going to do announcements. We're also going to have a performer, which I'm really excited about. And then we'll go into the breakout sessions. The breakout sessions will last roughly 45 minutes to an hour. And they are a combination of people who are formerly incarcerated, as well as various leaders in our community who are working with people who are impacted. So we have an area on reentry. We have some of our local candidates and judges with us, and former judges, as well as people who are doing work, with the prison system. So we just, and the juvenile side as well. So we're really excited to have you all here. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn everything over to Mindy. If you do have any questions for Mindy, we're asking that you please put them in the chat. And we are asking if you'd like to go off while she's talking. You're not going to be seen on the video because of the view, but it's totally up to you. But if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to put it in the chat. So we'll pass it off to Mindy. Thank you. And just kind of introduce yourself, Mindy, a little bit about, who you are, what you do, all that good stuff.
Hi, good morning. My name is Mindy Hedges, and I'm a volunteer with the ACLU and also with the League of Women Voters. And this is the League's presentation. So I'm hopeful that it gets all the information you need accurately, and we're going to have questions at the end. But if you have any questions while I'm going through this, please feel free to interrupt me. I'm okay with that. So we're going to talk about voter registration. Very topical, very, in some cases, very disturbing as to what's going on right now with our civil rights. And we need to maintain and help ourselves have better and more civil rights as we move forward, particularly for those who are formerly incarcerated. I'm going to get to the reentry as well towards the end. So I'm just going to go over some basics. Some of you may know them. I'm sorry if you do, but it's always good to just recall and re-educate ourselves. So I'm going to go over who can vote, the paper voter registration, online voter registration, verifying that you are registered, absentee ballot applications, which is this top layer that has been more prevalent during this voting season. Your voting options and resources for socially distant civic engagement and reaching underserved communities in 2010. So here we go. Who can vote? Well, you have to be a U.S. citizen. But interestingly enough, I had a situation the other day where I was trying to register a student, and he was walking across the street, and he said to me, "I'm from Puerto Rico. I can't vote." And I went, "Yes, you can. Anybody can vote, even if they're from a country that is actually in our statehood almost. So they can vote as well. So it's Guam, it's Puerto Rico, and several other places. Ohio resident, 30 days by election day. You need to be 18, of course. And also that you're not currently serving time. Now, ACLU has a voting in jail toolkit if you want to get on it. The link is here. And can we share that link with them, Brian, please, in the chat? That would be helpful. Registering college students. Students can choose whether they wish to register at their campus address or their parents' address. This is really kind of fun to do because a lot of students in Ohio are now saying that if they live on the East Coast, they don't need their vote, they need it more in Ohio. So a lot of students are registering here instead of at home. But you must be a resident of Ohio for 30 days, and the federal financial aid and your license registrations are not impacted if the out-of-state student registers to vote in Ohio. They can have an out-of-state license. Registering homeless or transient voters, this is a little bit more difficult, but we are encouraging all of them to vote as much as we can and when we get to them. Registration addresses at homeless shelters or local community organizations. So let's say you call up the ACLU and they have an office and you say to them, I'm a reentry, someone who is formerly incarcerated, but I'm homeless. Can I use your address? And if the local community organization is okay with that, you can do that. And they have to accept mail on your behalf because there is a little bit of communications through the mail. ID requirements on election day is a little bit more difficult for homeless voters because you need a state ID or a driver's license or a social security, the last 4 digits of your social. And oftentimes this might not be the case with homeless voters. The early in-person voting and absentee voting do not require an ID. All you need is the last 4 digits of the social security number and your date of birth, which hopefully you remember. So here's the actual ballot. Really easy. The top, often some people, I'm going to go over what some people don't do or do possibly incorrectly that would make their registration rejected by the Board of Elections. This is pretty easy, right? Last name, first name. You can see house number, city or post, zip code. Oftentimes people leave the zip code off for some reason. County where you live, also that's a problem. And then down here, you need your birth date and then your Ohio driver's license number or the last 4 digits. Next page. Now this is if you're updating your current registration. Pretty easy. So you had another house number, you've moved. So you put where you currently are living here and then where you moved from here, or if you changed your name. So if you got married and changed your name or for some other reason, that would go in there. And then of course, most important is your signature and the current date. So most commonly, the blanks that are missing are citizenship and age eligibility, identification number, so people don't have their social security or they miss it, their date and their signature. The other errors that we have to watch out for when we have people register is to list your county, not country. And when people are in a rush and they go through this very quickly, that often happens. They'll put down USA instead of the county that they live in. List the birth date in the top section, not today's date. That often happens as well. The voting address, they cannot use a PO box. They have to use a mailing address. And of course, write legibly. It's so funny to see some of these and you just can't read the signature. So you have to be, the Board of Elections has to be able to compare your signature with your original, what's on your voter registration. So that's very important. When you're going to vote, they ask you to sign again. And if it looks really different, they might have you fill out a provisional. Return paper registration forms. So anybody can return somebody else's form, but it has to be returned within 10 days. and by the voter registration deadline. So this election deadline is October 5th. We don't have a lot of time. And you can return it to any Board of Election office. The registration confirmation, within 20 business days, the Board of Election must register that applicant to vote and promptly notify them by mail, which is why the mailing address is so important. They'll tell you the precinct you're going to be voting in, your polling location, and any ID requirements necessary for voting. Online voting, so as of January 2017, this is wonderful. Ohio voters can register online through the Secretary of State's website. Would you be able to put that link into the chat too, please, Brian? The date of birth and either last 4 digits of Social Security number or the Ohio State ID, just like we talked about, is required to process online registration or update addresses. It's the same form. Using OVR in the field has its challenges when you do it online. Wi-Fi connectivity, sensitive information, and no data for the get out the vote follow-up. So people who want to contact you can't get that data because it's now in the system. Voter purges. In September 2019, 182,000 Ohioans were purged. Very upsetting. Everybody has their civil right to vote. It is what you're born with, it is what you deserve, and it's what you should be doing. But if they purge you and you don't know about it, then that becomes a problem. You show up at your polling booth and they say, I'm sorry, you're not registered, and you had no idea. In 2018, the BOE, the Board of Elections, send voters who have not voted in 2 years a postcard. If they didn't respond, then they're purged. So the best practice, obviously, is once you register to vote, wait about 20 days, and then you can go into the Board of Elections website or call them and say, I sent my voter registration in on this date, and I haven't received anything. So you should always check. Check voter registration status using the Ohio Secretary of State's website. Here it is. Also, you can, if Brian, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat as well, please. Voting options. So November 3rd is our voting date. The polls open up at 6:30 in the morning and they close at 7:30 in the evening. The early votes, however, so you can go and vote at any time starting October 6th. You can walk into your Board of Elections. The difficulty is that the polling locations are not open until November 3rd. So the only place you can do early voting is at your county's Board of Election. And that's from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then the last 2 weekends before Election Day, it's open. They're open later, and they're also open on the weekends, which is wonderful. The last weekend, I think they even open up on a Sunday and Monday. Absentee mail-in voting starts October 6th and must be postmarked by November 2nd. This year they have gotten, I think it's triple or quadruple the number of absentee ballots because people are uncomfortable about going into their voting booth or into the Board of Elections with crowds around because of COVID. So a lot of people are looking at the absentee balloting opportunity in Ohio. The Secretary of State mailed out absentee ballot requests. You must have all gotten them. And if you haven't mailed it in, it's so easy. You mail it in and then they mail you back a ballot. Right now, they can't be submitted online. They must be printed out, signed, and then mailed to the Board of Elections, or you can also drop them off. Every Board of Election in Ohio now has a box. You can actually submit anything and everything official paperwork. It is very secure. I did it the other day just to test it. Senate Bill 191, which is currently still in committee, would allow for online absentee ballot requests if passed. It's on hold right now. I kind of doubt it's going to move through, obviously, before the election. So basically we're encouraging voters to vote by mail. And here's your absentee ballot. I'm so sorry that it looks so squished, but it's pretty easy. Voter name, date of birth. This is an easier form, frankly, to fill out. And then the only thing that you have to know is the date of election, which is November 3rd, and you're voting in the general election. So track your absentee ballots, really important, making sure that they got it. An online system in Franklin County, for example, allows someone to track the status using this particular email address, although the Secretary of State, you can do that as well. The program will send text or emails when the absentee ballot application is received, and then ballot mailed to voter when absentee ballot is received back at the Board of Elections. So what do we tell our voter registration volunteers? Here's some best practices for registering voters. There are social media, give out social media posts with voting links. So you send out emails or go on Facebook or send it out through through Twitter. Reach out to organizational contacts. So your religious organizations, community groups, get them information they need to register their members. So there are so many places that we could have an opportunity. One of our volunteers actually went into a section of Delaware County and actually got over 200 voter registrations within the last 4 weeks. So it's really easy to do. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the census. You all got the census. Please fill it out. It is so important for every single American citizen to be counted, particularly if you're a person of color. Because they tend to be under-registered, and that's so important that we get that up to speed and the right accurate numbers, because it really, it determines how much money is allocated for things like Head Start and for grants that supports teachers in special education. So there's getting out the vote phone banks and texting, postcard, I'm not even going to go over all that. Vote 411 is something that every county does, every League of Women Voters does. If you do vote411.org, all you have, and you enter in your county, it will, or your address, excuse me, it will tell you everyone that's on your ballot. Everyone and everything you can vote for. It's a really excellent resource. So this is, it also has voter information sheets and cards that you can print out to help you when you go into the polls. So what you have to know, what everybody should know and realize, which I don't think that they do, is that there is no political party affiliation via voter registration. That's determined after voting in the primary. So for example, during a primary, you walk in to vote, you have to let them know if you are a Democrat, a Republican, or a, I call them independent, it's not, it's undecideds. So those are the 3 categories. If you say you're an undecided, then the only thing you can vote for in a primary will be the issues, or the issues and the judges. Anybody that doesn't have a party, anything that doesn't have a party affiliation. The primary elections are open to any registered voter, but that's not where we are right now. We've already done that. Oh, does a voter have to register for every election? Is a frequently asked question. No, you register once and that's all that happens. Will a voter be called for jury duty? This is interesting. Maybe, but the Board of Elections and the Secretary of State will only enter the pool of potential jurors, first of all, but there are so many other resources that they use for jury duty that this is a really small portion of that. So your chances of registering and then being called to jury duty is probably pretty slim. Licensed drivers and taxpayers are also in this pool. It's inevitable that one enters the jury pool eventually because you have your name in many other different places. So can a student register to vote? if they have an out-of-state driver's license or pay out-of-state tuition, yes. They do it where the county where the school is located, as long as the student uses their campus address to be his or her permanent home. Now this gets a little funny because they often don't know when they're in a dorm what that dorm address is because they're getting their mail at a different place. So that gets a little complicated. Can a person who's homeless or doesn't have a permanent address still register to vote? Yes. Individuals who regularly stay at a shelter or another location where they intend to return may list the shelter at any other location as their residence on a voter registration form, as long as that particular place is okay with that, with using that. If a voter moved or changed their name, do they need to re-register? Absolutely. They can update it. A citizen of Ohio didn't vote in the last election. Are they still registered? Probably, but this is because they've purged a lot. We have to be really careful about this. Every now and then I just go into my Board of Elections and I recheck my registration. So if the voter registration application is incomplete, can we write in the missing information on the application with the consent of the applicant? Yes, we can, as long as they give us permission. We cannot provide their signature though. And then if the 10-day deadline is approaching and the applicant has not been reached, of course, it's best to submit the incomplete form, which is a little distressing because they may reject it, but you've done the best you can. Are there other things that we shouldn't do when we register? Don't offer anything of value in exchange for their voter registration. This had happened 4 years ago, and thankfully they arrested the person that was doing this, but he was sending a bunch of voter registration people out, and they offered people money to fill out the form, and they actually put different names on them. It was very complicated. If you offer something minimal, coffee or donuts at your table, make sure your refreshments are available to anyone. That's just some of the stuff we go through. Okay, this is pretty important. Voting in prison or reentry citizens or formerly incarcerated. Many people mistakenly believe that they lose their rights to vote. And what's so sad about this is that I believe that it's encouraged to not vote while you're in the prison system in Ohio. And that's distressing to me. Anyone who is a resident of Ohio, not currently incarcerated for a felony, and meets, of course, the other eligibility, you know, a US citizen and all of that, then they can vote. This includes the thousands of residents currently detained in one of 72 county jails who have not yet been convicted of a felony. And this is where it gets really, really intricate, because people, even if they are detained and they have not yet been convicted, if they're awaiting their trial, they still can vote. Once you've been convicted and once you've served your time, then you also can vote. Volunteers and groups are working to assist, obviously, detainees with registering to vote and giving them these kinds of strategies and tools. Absentee voting or voting by mail, that allows the detainees who are jailed, who haven't posted a bond, a misdemeanor, waiting trial, to cast their ballot, and it makes it so much easier. The detainees can choose to vote by mail, or they can have 2 election officials administer the ballot to them while they remain in jail. Then they can also request to vote from jail. They would need a volunteer to help them complete either Form 11A or 11F. Using the jail's mail system with the help of elected official, if there's any other questions that can be answered, or I can help answer it. We have, through the help of the ACLU, we developed a sheet or a flyer that we're giving out to in the reentry packets, along with voter registration and absentee ballot forms. And I just love this visual. The cuffs are off. They have freedom now. They have the civic right and the civic ability to now vote, which is wonderful. And I believe very strongly that this is one piece that gives people more hope. That says, yes, I've served my time. Now I can go out and do what I need to do. It's their right after they've served their time. And we say, don't let anyone tell you any different. And we want them to register now. The difficulty, of course, is that they don't have a phone. But as soon as they get out, they will. They actually give you a phone to use. But the difficulty, of course, is also going on the internet and computers also when you're incarcerated. But I'm hopeful that that these opportunities, they have the paper now. When they're ready to get out, they could just fill them out and send them in. I'm done. Do you have any questions?
If there are any questions, if you want to put them in the chat, I don't see anything in here at this point. But if there are any questions, if not, we will keep it moving. I'm going to pass it over to Chastity, who is going to introduce our performer for this morning. Thank you so much, Mindy, for your presentation. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. It is a real honor and a pleasure to introduce this next young man. He is just coming home from serving 6 years inside of one of the Ohio facilities, and he has come home and, you know, put his head in the right direction and is staying on track and is really trying to be the change that he wants to see, and he's chasing his dreams. So we want to try to give, you know, him and others like him every opportunity that we can to see them thrive. So he created a song last week for an event that we had, and it was really, really powerful. And so we wanted to bring that in this space and allow him to share his talent. So I am going to introduce to you Muhammad.
How you guys doing? Sorry, it's kind of early. But yeah, I just came home from doing 6 years. I was in Trumbull and Toledo, Ohio. The last prison I was in was a level 4 security, maximum security basically. But yeah, I came home and I kind of just had to make a decision whether I wanted to continue, you know, the same path, or if I wanted to try new things and actually chase my dreams and do everything that I said I was going to do. So I decided to actually give it a shot, and things start happening for me in ways that I really wouldn't have been able to see or you know, take advantage of if I wasn't like focused. So I just appreciate y'all giving me the chance to, you know, like put my talent out there and just give my voice a stage. You know, I really appreciate y'all.
So go for with the song. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Hold on, I got it plugged up. Hold on.
And so after this performance, we will be doing some brief announcements and then going into the breakout room. So when you all register, you should have clicked which breakout room you're going into. We just have 3 announcements that we will be making after the performance. I'm trying to, I should have asked him how long it was going to take him, because we could probably do at least 1 or 2 of them really quickly. Chastity, while he's setting up, do you want to just maybe do one of the announcements now, and then we can do the others afterwards?
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to, I guess I could just speak on, because this is something that's new. So the Supreme Court in California, they ruled that those who are currently incarcerated and have returned home are actually eligible for the stimulus payment. So what you will need to do is, and I put a link at the very top if you guys will want to follow that link. And then also, if you want to give me your well, I'll actually put my email in the chat. I can give you some forms that can support any questions that you need concerning that. The thing is, they will need to apply before October the 15th. So make sure that that date is very, very important. So if you're returning home or someone that is currently incarcerated, they are eligible for the stimulus payment, but they will need to make sure that they apply before October the 15th. And I'm going to put my email in the chat. And if you guys want any of the supporting documents to give you step by step, they even have the forms in that packet. We will be able to help you that way.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Look at me. Who are you to tell me that my life ain't nothing and just kill me in the streets? Mama drug problem kinda fucking with her sleep. When you young, you don't understand how real it really be. Race wars back and forth, officer I'm not involved. I'm trying to make it home, I don't got no gun at all. I don't got no drugs at all. But you gon' kill me anyway, cause I don't fuck with y'all. Damn, how would you feel? It was your brother that got killed, it was your mother that got killed. Would you ride or sit still? Hey. Would you walk up to the judge and tell him you don't feel no love, cause that's really how you feel? And lately I've been all up in my feelings, trying to take the pain away, it's only for a minute. Preparing for a rainy day, it's pouring in my city every day. We trying to make a way, the chances getting slimmer. Niggas dying by the ton, either drugs or the gun. I don't know if they gon' shoot, but they gon' tell me not to run. I'm just trying to wipe my mama tears and tell her that we won. I'm just trying to make sure mama ain't gon' lose her only son. I know you don't understand, I know you don't really feel me. I can't do the faking, so I'm giving you the real me. My heart has been damaged, it's gonna take some time to heal me. I'm trying to leave, but you probably thinking kill me. You don't understand, I know you don't really feel me. My heart has been faking, so I'm giving you the real me. My heart has been damaged, it's gonna take some time to heal me. I'm just trying to leave, but you probably thinking Breonna Taylor, she don't owe you, but she had to give her life. I know somewhere in your soul, you know that that wasn't right. We've been trying to keep the peace, but it's like you rather fight. They know that I'm innocent, but they'll try to give me life. For what? I ain't doing nothing. If you ain't never split a sandwich, you ain't really struggling. My mama got depressed and put a baby in the oven. I really meant to say I care, that's why I'm always fussing. I gave you the key to me cause I believed in you. Only way that we gon' heal is if we finally make a truce. That mean if you black or white, that mean if you red or blue. We can't keep killing each other, there ain't no one left to shoot. I know you don't understand, I know you don't really kill me. I can't do the faking, so I'm giving you the real me. My heart has been damaged, it's gonna take some time to heal me. I'm just trying to live, but you probably thinking kill me. You don't understand, I know you don't really feel me. I can't do the faking, so I'm giving you the real me. My heart has been damaged, it's gonna take some time to heal me. I'm just trying to live, but you probably thinking kill me. That's it, guys.
Thank you so much. I still get chills. I get chills, and I've listened to that song over and over and over again. I still get because it's from the heart. Thank you so much, Muhammad.
Thank you, thank you. I am going to we have two other announcements. I'm going to call on Trina Jackson, who's with the Office of Reentry. We have a new program that has recently been launched here in Hamilton County. And I wanted her to be able to just share just for a minute before we go into the breakout about that program.
The voter registration program, or which one?
The LEAD program, the LEAD
Oh,
program.
yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. My apologies. Well, our office, Office of Reentry, we are supported by the Hamilton County Commissioners. And our goal and our charge is to connect returning citizens to resources in the community, as well as identify strategies that reduce recidivism in Hamilton County. So, you know, when our commissioners apply for a federal grant, it's like a $500,000 grant to divert people from the justice system if they have, you know, are suffering from long-term chronic addiction or mental health concerns or homelessness. They added that work to our office because, you know, it's a reentry concern. A lot of people dealing with addiction and mental illness they have conviction in their background. And we all know, most of us know, I'd say, that corrections and putting people in jail and prison with those type of issues is really accomplishing much of nothing right now, because it never has really, because they need treatment. They don't need to be incarcerated, they need treatment. So we launched this project in July. And a little bit about the way that it works. We're partnering with the City of Cincinnati and Cincinnati Police District Department. And so right now we're focusing on Central Business District as well as District 1. And if an officer comes in contact with someone that fits this criteria, that person can be a part of this program in either of two ways. So a direct referral from the police, that means that they were committing an offense that's an eligible offense. It's a low-level misdemeanor offense. If they were committing that offense and the officer felt they would be a good candidate for lead, they would then connect them with the case manager if everyone involved in that situation were in agreement. So that means the victim is in agreement, the client or the offender is in agreement. That person would have 30 days to complete a psychosocial assessment, and those charges would be dropped. That means he or she will be working with the case manager on a regular basis from this harm reduction model, so that we're not expecting them or demanding that they be clean to be a part of this project. We just want to focus on what are the issues or concerns that are causing them to commit offenses. And we give them the time they need and the resources they need to be stable, and then they hopefully can focus on their addiction or mental health concerns. And so that's one way to get into the program. The other way is through a social contact referral. That means they haven't committed any offenses, but that officer typically is familiar with that person because they see them all the time in the community. And so they refer them to the program, and that's a way that they can be a part of this initiative. So our goal, is of course to keep these individuals from cycling in and out of the justice system, because like I said, we really know being just as involved when you have a mental illness or an addiction issue, it's really not doing you any good. It's not helping you in any way. So that's our new program. We're working hard to get it going. Thank you for giving me time to talk about it.
Thank you. I just wanted to lift that up because it is a new program here in our area. I'm familiar with the program through my work with PJI. And so when I found out that, I knew that it was coming, like I had heard, at our PyCon event last year, they're like, oh, we're supposed to be going to Hamilton County. So I was glad to actually see it actually come to fruition. So I am gonna pass it back over to Chastity. She has been working really hard to do some voter registration pop-ups here in the area, and that is how we're gonna end our day today. After this event, we will be going out to get people registered. So I just want her to announce before we go into the breakouts, just in case we lose people at the end, just talk a little bit about Operation Change Cincy and then the voter registration piece.
Sure. So we formulated Operation Change Cincy due to this being a very high-profile election, not just in the not just nationally, but on our county level. So as you know, we have 13 judges seats. We have a prosecutor's race. We also have a sheriff's race, our county commissioner. We have a lot of big seats that are available right now. And in order for us to see the change that we want to see in our communities, we want to place the right people in those positions that can work with organizations such as Operation Change Cincy to say, hey, we don't want this gun range in the neighborhood of Lincoln Heights. We don't want shot finders in what they consider high crime neighborhoods. We don't want the prostitution in our neighborhoods and things of that sort. We want to be able to work as a community and build up our communities and give resources back to our communities that they need to actually stop the school to prison pipeline and then the prison pipeline altogether. So That's what Operation Change Cincy is about. For the last 60 days, we have been doing pop-ups at your local Kroger, hair stores, barbershops, anywhere that we find that people who typically do not vote, that they would be, and we could get them registered to vote. So we created a text to number. We created two. We created one, and Brian, if you can type this in the chat as I say it, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. We created one just for everyday citizens, and it's Cincy Votes. You text that to 31996. It takes you directly to the voter registration link, and you'll be able to register to vote that way. And then we also have free Cincy. You can text to the same number. So it's Cincy Votes and free Cincy to 31996. The free Cincy allows those with felony convictions to know that they can vote, and it's a texting system that we set up that we can correspond and talk back and forth with folks to let them know about any updates that's coming along as far as as we get closer to the election. So today we're going to be doing a pop-up. I'm thinking Lincoln Heights, but I'm not totally sure. But if you want to know more about it, you can reach out to operationchangecincy.org. There's a link there, and it has a list of all the places that we will be and all the events that we are having. We are having a huge concert on October the 24th. We got some really big names coming. I can't tell you exactly who right now, but it is a push to get people to get out and do their early voting. And your ticket will actually be proof that you registered or that you voted early. So it's Cincy Votes to 31996, and then it's also free Cincy at 31996. So yeah, if you want to know more, you just go to operationchangecincy.org about the stuff that we're doing, and we're going to be here well after the election is over. We're going to, hold all those accountable that get these seats, those that are in these seats, and we just want to see a change in our neighborhoods. So that's all I got on that.
Thank you. All right, so that is leading us to our breakout sessions. Everyone should have selected a breakout session, and we are going to go into that now. So the recording will stop as we do the breakout. This is really just set up to be more of an informal conversation. We have people who are directly impacted by the criminal legal system that are going to be talking with people who are in this work, as well as other people that are joining. And so we want this to be somewhat informal, but also, informational at the same time. So we will do a quick wrap up at the end. So we'll probably try to give it an hour. If it goes over, that's fine. And then come back, and then hopefully we will have specific information about the pop-up if anyone's interested in joining us today. So we will see you at the end.
All right, and Zaria, yeah, like you said, I'm gonna go ahead and send you all to your breakout rooms. It looks like everyone was pretty good about figuring out their breakout room. If you do want to change, just shoot me a message. There should be a way to chat the main room or to get help. But other than that, enjoy your time in these different rooms. All right, so the rooms are open, and it looks like if you're not automatically going there, you can see the breakout room button at the bottom of your screen, but it looks like you guys are heading out.
So final thoughts on what we spoke about. It was very intense in a way to hear it from two people who just came home from the facility, from being incarcerated, and what their needs are. And so I think that as a community and as organizers and as people on this call who are running for different offices, who have places in reentry and spaces like that, I think we should connect more to these people and give them more support, especially as they're beginning to end their transition, because as we know, the first 60 to 90 days is very critical. So we just kind of be conscious of what their needs are and not what we feel like their needs are, because we can always navigate from a place of we want to help, but do we always navigate in a place of listening to them on how we can help, and truly hearing them and what their needs are for them to be successful. So it was an amazing session. So if I could leave that piece with everybody on this call, is to listen and then help, not help and then listen.
I would just say for our group, I just felt like it was really a good conversation. It was very just an open dialogue, which I think is so critical. I know, especially right now in election season, you know, you have like these standard questions you ask and answer people, but Maurice, who was a part of our group, really hit home with his story, and we're just able to really build in that conversation about what we want pretrial services, not the actual pretrial services, but what we want pretrial justice and the services in the various offices and capacities to really look like, and how it can take shape in a positive way moving forward here in our county, whether that be in our jails, within the community as far as policing, in the prosecutor's offices, as well as with the judges. We talked about the need for more training and connecting with people who are impacted by these systems, and what that looks like as it relates to the services and the supports that are provided. So I just want to thank everybody that was a part of my group. Any thoughts from the reentry folks?
I just want to thank everybody who joined our group. We had a really interesting conversation where we discussed topics as far as the barriers and some of the immediate needs. Some of them were like a big one was transportation, housing, soft skills and stuff like that. And just creating more capacity in these programs because they're limited. And it's critical. Time is of the essence, and things need to be, it's real critical for a person coming home to get everything they need in place so they can be successful, or, you know, they may go back to, you know, survival mode, you know. So we had a really good conversation with Ms. Jackson, and my other guy, he had to jump off, he's working. He's a re-entry citizen, but he's working right now on Saturday, so he joined us. So we had a really good conversation. Thank you to Jill. And I think the other people jumped off. Thank you to Trina, Ms. Jackson. You said you hit us on very good topics, but that's it.
Awesome. So again, this was our first event for the local chapter of All of Us or None. We do a lot of work in a variety of spaces, but this was the actual national event that's happening all over the country, different days of the week. But we felt like it was really critical for us to host this, especially as we're counting down to the deadline for people to be able to register to vote. The voting education piece, I think Mindy's already jumped off, but we really appreciate Mindy coming on and sharing that information. It will be available if people need to access it or if they missed that portion of it. And I know Brian also had uploaded the PowerPoint that she presented as well for people. So we just want to again thank you all. Chastity, what time do you think would be good for people to meet up? I'm not far from Lincoln Heights right now, so if anybody's interested in coming out.
So Zaria, you see my smile? You all can meet Zaria at probably about noon, because Chastity is 4 hours away. My son had a ball game last night, and then I was gonna come back last night, but he ended up getting hurt in the game, so I had to stay. Yeah, he hurt his shoulder. Listen, football mom.
So that would be 1, because it's noon now. So that would be 1 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. So 1 o'clock. I'm sorry. We usually do. I do everything I schedule. I always do it in between 12 and 5 because it's the best time you can get media presents. So I always do everything 12 and 5. So yeah. So 1 o'clock today. And yeah. So yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be there today.
No, you're fine. I got my t-shirt. So and I actually have paper forms if people need those as well. So Chastity, make sure your baby is good. Please send him our love. And again, just want to thank everybody for their participation today. For those who are directly impacted that were willing to share their stories, we thank you. We appreciate that because we understand that oftentimes you don't have these spaces, but it's so critical that your voices are heard. And we challenge the people who are making those decisions to have you at the table. I think is really critical. So if that is all, if there are no final words from anyone else, we want to thank Brian for all his assistance today in making this happen. I see Carol has her hand up.
I am an election protection ambassador trained by the League of Women Voters and Common Cause. And I've done some self-education on voting in jail, as well as reentry opportunities for voting. I'd be happy to speak if anybody wanted some, to have an interactive session or hear a few experiences. I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
And one last thing from me, if you guys can share out the text 2 lines, please do so. People can register, check their information all in like 5 minutes. Literally, it's really, really easy. A lot of people do things better on text than they do anything else. So I'm going to put it back in the chat. So make sure you guys do that. And it sends you straight to the link to the Board of Elections so you can do everything from your phone. Just make sure you have your ID.
Awesome. All righty. Thank you all for your time. And again, thank you, Brian, for producing this today. You all have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.
Thanks.
Hey guys.